want to welcome everyone today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today. I have something here for you to read. The first thing I want to say is no to the illegal EU-Morocco fisheries agreement that includes occupied Western Sahara. The European Union is seeking to conclude the EU-Morocco fisheries agreement, including the territory of occupied Western Sahara. The Sahrawi community in Belgium and Europe urged the members of the European Parliament to stop this blatant violation of European international law by voting against this legal agreement. We reject this agreement as it plainly violates both EU and international law, fails to secure the consent of the people of Western Sahara, and threatens to undermine the UN peace process. The ECJ ruling of December 2016 established clearly that Western Sahara is separate and distinct from Morocco, a territory not under the sovereignty of Morocco. Critically, the court made clear that the EU-Moroccan agreements, including Western Sahara, are not valid unless the Sahrawi people, whose only legal representative is the Polisario Front, give their consent. The EU Commission have neither genuinely sought nor obtained the consent. We call upon the members of the European Parliament to vote against this EU-Moroccan fisheries agreement that includes occupied Western Sahara, simply because it does not have the consent of the Sahrawi people. The European Union should end its dual contradictory policy related to Western Sahara, supporting the UN efforts and the rights of the Sahrawi people to self-determination, and at the same time concluding economical agreements with Morocco that include illegally occupied Western Sahara. By encouraging such violations of the Sahrawi people's rights, the European Union sends a deeply concerning message about its commitment to human rights, fundamental freedoms, and its commitment to the UN peace process. This agreement undermines the EU principles and values and further entrenches the status quo. Western Sahara remains illegally annexed by the Kingdom of Morocco, while it is a non-resolved colonial conflict by the United Nations. The complicity in the exploitation of natural resources stolen from its people is both legally wrong and morally repugnant. The ruling from the European Court of Justice cannot be ignored. Dear MEP, on behalf of the Sahrawi civil society and undersigned civil society organizations from the occupied territories of Western Sahara, the liberated territories, the refugee camps in Tindouf, and the Sahrawi diaspora, we wish to share our opinion and position on the proposed EU-Moroccan Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement and inclusion of Western Sahara in its territorial scope. The EU's Court of Justice has twice, in 2016 and 2018, ruled that Western Sahara is separate and distinct from Morocco, that Morocco has no sovereignty over the territory of Western Sahara, and that the EU-Morocco agreements are not applicable to Western Sahara. The court has also stipulated the consent of the people of Western Sahara as the principal precondition for the application of such agreements in Western Sahara as a non-self-governing territory. There have been no efforts from the EU Commission to obtain the consent of the people of Western Sahara, nor have we seen responsible engagement from the EU in negotiations with the Polisario Front. Quite the contrary. We have witnessed the attempt by the Commission to mislead and divide the people of Western Sahara in the course of fake consultations, which failed to meet their requirements by the court of ensuring the consent as the main condition for the legality of any economical activity in the occupied Western Sahara. Moreover, our people remain largely excluded from the fisheries sector, which is overwhelmingly run and staffed by Moroccan settlers, and therefore the fisheries agreement will only reinforce our exclusion while expanding the external illegal control over the exploitation of our fisheries resources. we are very disappointed. We are very disappointed by the Council's approval of an agreement that aims to illegally plunder the natural resources of our occupied homeland, Western Sahara. And it contributes directly to the prolongation of the occupation, the suffering of the people of Western Sahara, and strengthens the illegal military presence of Morocco in our territory. Instead, the EU should support the UN peace process and UN Special Envoy, Mr. Kohler, efforts to resume negotiations between the Polisario Front and the Kingdom of Morocco and contribute constructively to formally decolonize Western Sahara. This deal has nothing to do with Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement. It is not sustainable to this date. The Commission still does not have any independent data concerning the fisheries reserve in our waters and has relied exclusively on information provided by the Moroccan authorities or the pro-Moroccan industry. There is no partnership. The Commission did not carry out any genuine consultation of our people, and it has negotiated with Morocco an agreement which ignores our interests and wishes. Finally, it is not about fisheries, but only about geopolitics, pleasing an illegal occupying force in exchange of its support for the EU agenda on migration or other interests. We urge you, honorable members of the European Parliament, to vote against proposed EU-Morocco fisheries agreement to save the EU image as an international institution that has always been presented as a global